Could food shortages be headed your way? In this video, I'm sharing ways that you can be prepared for a food shortage. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Lena. I talk money at home. I want to empower you to take charge of your financial future. Please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell. I pulled some of these tips from different articles, and all those links will be in the description. Don't panic, buy two instead. So it can seem overwhelming if you're like, oh, I better stock up on some extra food, some extra necessities, but it costs money. Food is already really expensive. What do you do? So you can take small little steps to start stocking up food, having a little bit of storage, but you don't have to go hog wild and get everything on the same day and spend hundreds of dollars. So when you're at the grocery store and you're buying your peanut butter, grab 2 peanut butters, put one of them in your storage and one for now. When you're buying your dried beans, buy one for now, one for later. So you have a few extra things and you're building up some extra things in case there are food shortages, but you don't have to spend a ton of money right now to make that happen. Love this tip. Get ready to adapt. This is more of a mindset thing, but if you are ready mentally to adjust to whatever comes your way, you will have a lot more success. So perhaps we are having a meat shortage, and that's a major part of your diet. You think, okay, what am I going to do about this, and how am I going to buy other things or substitute other things to be okay with this? So you're ready to adapt. How can we stretch our meat by adding more beans in our soup? What alternate proteins can I use? And how can I change our diet and our standard recipes to make that work? So your brain is already working in this way, and this will just make everything easier. Perhaps there is a run on laundry soap. Did you know that you can make your own laundry soap? I don't actually do that, but my friend does. So I know that I could ask her, I could buy those ingredients because maybe those wouldn't be out of stock, and I could make my own laundry soap and solve that problem. So I'm ready to adapt in whatever way is necessary. One of my big questions, and maybe one of your questions, is what is actually going to run out? And are those things that I actually buy, how is this going to affect us? And this is going to affect everybody differently because everybody has different needs. So I found this list of things that might be out, 9 items you might not find in your grocery store. So if these are the top items that stores are going to be out of, you can come up with a strategy for each one of those. So wheat. So wheat is in the carb category. So how could you substitute for a different kind of carb? Could you use potatoes instead? Could you eat more corn? What could you eat instead of things that have wheat in them? Sugar, kind of like the honey example. Could we use maple syrup instead? Could we use honey? What other sweeteners could we use, or how could we cut back on that? Avocados. We don't really eat avocados because I just don't want to risk it, because there's about a half hour between when it's ripe and when it's rotten. So I'm just like, forget it. So this one won't really affect us, but it might affect you. Paper goods. So this might affect you in the toilet paper arena. Could you get a bidet, or is there another option so that you wouldn't have to be dependent on buying toilet paper? Canned goods. This is a hard one because it says that there's going to be an aluminum shortage. It says that manufacturers continue to have an aluminum shortage. This could be a big deal for canned goods, and canned goods can be really inexpensive. So this one I think could really hurt a lot of people. Meat and eggs. We kind of already talked about what could we do about stretching our meat. Or you could get some chickens. Of course, that's not a slam dunk. Chickens are a lot of work and they're not free, but that could be a way for you to get reliable eggs. Pet food. This one could be tricky for a lot of people. How could you make your own pet food? What are some pet food alternatives that are safe? Looking into that could be useful. Baby formula. So this has already been going on, and this has affected so many people, and this is so hard. I do not have a magic solution for this one. You could ask on your community page if anyone has any donor breast milk they could give you. But this is really stressing a lot of parents out right now, and I really feel for you. And liquor, this is not exactly a necessity, so I think it would be okay if we cut back on this. If there's a shortage on this, I don't know, I'm kind of in the oh well camp. Not a necessity, okay. How can you figure out how to source things more locally? So if there's a food shortage, it's probably not going to be in your backyard. It's going to be at the canned goods facility that ships all their stuff to your local store. But people around you are still raising animals, gardening, having chickens, all the things. So how could you be less dependent on the things that you buy at a supermarket and more dependent on the people around you? Now, I understand this is a double-edged sword because locally sourced things are often way more expensive. I'd love to buy only locally sourced meats, but it's at least twice or 3 times as expensive. So, but just starting this process of thinking about this and also considering how could I trade for some of the things that I need, or how could I buy like a whole cow and throw it in my freezer. I know that's a huge investment, but it is a way to get meat that's not that expensive and to be able to store it for a long time so that if there was a shortage, you would still be okay because you would have that half cow in your freezer ready to go. Which one of your friends has a yard and could raise some chickens? Maybe if they already have chickens, you could offer to buy them some more or pay for some of the feed so that you could get some of those eggs for free. Grow a garden. I know this is not a slam dunk either. None of these shortage solutions are easy or not time consuming. So not everybody has a yard. We do have some community gardens in our city. So you could get a community garden plot. You could ask a friend if you could work on their garden in exchange for some of the produce out of their garden. And that could help supplement your diet. If you know someone who has a fruit tree that has so many extra fruits, perhaps you could harvest those and can those or freeze those so that you would have them for a later date and be more prepared. Buy in bulk and buy whole grains for long-term storage. So you can buy things in bulk from Azure Standard or from Costco, and you want to make sure these things would actually keep. You know, if you buy a bunch of things that aren't going to keep or you don't preserve them somehow, it's not going to do you any good because you don't know when a food shortage might happen. So grains are an example of something that would keep. So if you can buy those in bulk at a nice price and then safely store those and make sure you're storing them in a way where they're not going to go bad, that could keep for a long time and then you would be ready. If you have something to grind those grains so that you could turn that into bread or make it easier to use, extra credit too. Be financially ready for food shortages. It often means that you might have to buy a more expensive version of something, like if you have to buy your meat locally and that's the only place you can get it, that's going to be more expensive than at your supermarket, and inflation is going pretty crazy. So get your financial life in order, get on that budget, pay down that debt so that when things change and you need to adjust, you are ready and you are not going to have any financial concerns during that time. And also, don't buy extra things to store on your credit card because then it'll end up costing you, twice as much as you originally paid for it with that interest. So be smart with your money and be ready with your money. Stop wasting food. So this article says that in the United States, food waste is estimated at between 30 and 40% of the food supply. That is crazy. So if we ate every last thing in our fridge, and if we planned to consume everything that we bought before it went bad, that would give us a lot more wiggle room with our food and when we would need to buy new food. And lastly, find a community of like-minded people. So when things get tight, it's helpful to know people. Do you know someone who raises livestock? Do you know someone who raises chickens? Do you know someone who could teach you how to can? Do you know someone who could teach you how to sew? Like, use your community resources so in an emergency you could rely on each other, teach each other the skills needed to survive. And then when you need something or you're looking for something or you're out of something, you could phone a friend and say, hey, we are running out of this. Where could I get this? Do you know what I could do? Do you know of any substitutes? People are awesome resources, so definitely take advantage of that. Share your thoughts in the comments. How are you preparing for a food shortage? Please like this video and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.